The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call? You can just go to like a different mic, baby.
I'll just be loud.
Sorry, try again.
Hello.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Good evening. Student Trustee Mall.
Yeah, present.
Here. President Nida Manuli.
Present.
Vice President Kasowski.
Present.
Chief of Staff Donners.
Present.
Speaker of the House Joe.
Present.
Treasurer Huck.
Present.
Graphic Designer Mott. Web Administrator Silverad. Chairperson Guerrero.
Present.
Chairperson Taquineo.
Here.
Chairperson Almendra.
I'm present.
Chairperson Fernandez.
Present.
Chairperson Celestino.
Governor JB.
Here. Representative Chuanek.
Present.
Representative Beltran. Okay, Representative Caesar.
Present.
Representative Cruz. Representative Peridrew.
Present.
Representative Leva. Representative Patel. Representative Sharma.
Present.
Representative Bogdan. Representative Erlbacher. Representative Vilovska. Representative Bassett. Representative Chidari.
Present.
Representative Lamisa Khan. Representative Lamisa Khan. Okay, absent. Representative Rose. Representative Murtaza.
Present.
Representative Rashid. Representative Sumo.
Present.
Representative B. I think she's in the Zoom. But she might be in the Zoom. Representative Barrington.
Present.
Representative Slaughter.
Present.
Representative Nguyen. Representative Ansadi. Representative Basta. Representative Mehta. Representative Ali. Representative Flynn.
Present.
Representative Carbanza.
Here.
Representative Sarah Khan. Representative Malik.
Present.
Representative Sitar. Representative Omani.
Present.
Representative Dolma. Representative Dolma. Okay, Representative Alapwan. Present. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda. Oh, yes, Felix. Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. This is better. Okay. Are there any corrections to the agenda? If not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is old business. The first order of business is, or the first resolution is resolution 2022 S3-100. And can we please have, sorry, Tayo represent this or present this?
Yes, so this is resolution 22 S100 on Let's Talk, a BIPOC mental health roundtable funding resolution presented by myself, Talmini, and my chairperson, Daniela Guerrero. Whereas the undergraduate student government will be hosting a community event called Let's Talk, a BIPOC mental health roundtable, and whereas the objective of the event is for students to have the opportunity to hear from mental health experts about their career experiences working with students and joining the mental health industry. And whereas students will also be able to see diverse representation in the mental health field, ask questions, and engage in an honest and open conversation about mental health. Whereas this event will take place on February 24th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. In SE 302. And whereas this event will count with the confirmed participation of the following mental health experts: Dr. Bella Miles of the USC Counseling Center, Dr. Mark Martell of the Director of Asian American Resource and Cultural Center, Dr. Saeed Hill, counseling psychologist, and Mrs. Carol Peterson, Director of UIC Health Education and Wellness, and Mrs. Cynthia Rodriguez, Student Assistant Coordinator of the Office of the Dean of Students. Then let it be resolved that the UIC undergraduate student government will allocate a maximum of $1,000 to cover the cost of the room reservation, audio visual equipment, refreshments, and guest accommodations. Let it be further resolved that any amount of money that is not used will be returned to the USG budget. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Reminder that we will be voting on this tonight. All right, if not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2022 S3100, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the resolution has passed. Okay. Next, we move on to resolution 2022 S3200. Isaiah or Felix, would you like to present this?
So whereas on whereas on Sunday, January 30th, 2022, Illinois Medical District, yes, there was one felon was threatening the safety of the student, staff, and residents within at the time, single student residence hall on West Campus. And whereas the West Campus RAs and desk workers created a petition and sent a letter to the UIC administration and UIC Campus Housing Administration. And whereas the safety of our students is a priority for the undergraduate student government. And whereas the undergraduate student government is an organization to help advocate for students' needs. And whereas members of the undergraduate student government have drafted a letter in support of West Campus RAs and desk workers, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government stands in solidarity where West Campus Housing student workers and urges the University of Illinois Chicago to install emergency buttons that signals UICPD for rapid response to situations. Install a buzzer that unlocks the door at the cell, install security gates placed at each desk area before any resident or occupant is able to gain entry to the elevators. Create better standards and background check for Illinois Medical District guests. Limit the access that Illinois Medical District guests have to the building.
So I motion to table this resolution because currently we're still working on the amendments for the letter. So for any of you who have wanted to give input that haven't just yet, you still have time. But I will be working on this, and other people here in USG will be working on this letter on amending it based off of meetings that we've had with either USC
thank you. There has been a motion to table this amendment. Or is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the resolution has been tabled. Okay, the next order of business is new business. And the first resolution we have is resolution 2022 S4802. Mohammed or Quinn's not here. Oh, Mohammed's here. Great. Yeah, you can.
Hello, everyone. So resolution 2022-S4-802 states, whereas the USG is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep for its designated office at Student Center East, and whereas it is customary for the Treasury Committee to set aside funds in order to purchase office supplies for aforementioned maintenance and welcoming work environment for all members, then let it be resolved that USG shall allocate a maximum of $500 towards purchasing office supplies for the spring 2022 semester, and let it further be resolved that any unspent funds will be returned to the budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, I have a question. So the funds that are allocated, are they immediately going to be spent on something, or are they just set aside? to be like-
No, to set aside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what would constitute office supplies?
So it could be anything ranging from printer equipment to like purchasing pens, notepads, whatever that the office may need.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments? If not, we will be voting on this resolution next week.
Hello, I have a question.
Oh, sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, why we are putting up this resolution? Like what type of supplies we foresee to buy?
The question was, what kind of supplies are we looking to buy?
Okay, so there's no list of supplies yet, but I do know that kind of time will on several supplies like printer paper, or perhaps a pen for coding, or anything of that nature. It's really miscellaneous.
Okay, I'm not sure how audible that was, but he said that it's very miscellaneous, and we'll like be able to figure it out as we go. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I had something to add as well.
Go ahead.
So I couldn't hear too much of what Mohammed said, but I'm pretty sure he didn't specifically mention this. But as we just got the printer, there are also many things that we are kind of like falling behind on in terms of office supplies, like for binders, for projects and things like that, for paper for the printer. We're running low on pens, and then also we do not have just general cleaning supplies and things like that for the office, and we're also running low on trash bags and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a reply to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, won't the university supply, or at least the DM students, perhaps could supply office supplies such as trash bags? Because I feel like this is $500 of student fees we're putting towards just the office.
Regarding things like that, trash bags and things like that, that's typically us just, finding ways around it to get it for free. But it's not like an immediate yes or no sort of thing. It's more if the janitors feel nice and they want to provide us with some, they'll give it to us, but it's not like they immediately always every month give us some of that supplies.
So all the offices have to be in charge of their own trash bags and all that?
As far as we've done it in the past couple of years, yes, that's yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, we will be voting on this resolution next week. Next order of business is items for discussion, and there are no items for discussion. So the next order of business is ex-officio reports. May we please have the report of the advisor if there is one? Okay. If not, we will have the report of the student trustee. Is there a report for the student trustee?
Just give me 5 minutes. I'll be sending it to you.
Okay, I guess refer to the email Lavelina is going to send for the report of the student trustee. The next order of business we have is officer reports. May we please have the report of the president?
Yeah, hope everyone is having a good evening. So last week I met with the USC Police Chief Kevin Booker with Arthur and John, and we discussed some of the things mentioned in the letter, like RA safety procedures. We aim to advocate for better police-student relationships and a potential safety law, and a little bit more context on why we tabled the resolution. So a lot of the things on the letter that we advocated for were quickly kind of prepared from campus housing. So like a buzzer was installed and reinforced doors, just because of the amount of pressure that the petition had. So that's pretty good. So I also attended the Asian American Resource and Cultural Center Roundtable with Felix and was able to socialize with a few students. I also attended the engaging community event by the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and I tabled for the USG committee, for the USG table, and thanks for everyone that came to the event and helped. I also tabled in Student Center East to promote the USG spring recruitment. Thanks for Danya for making it happen. We were able to engage with our constituents and promote USG's presence on campus. Thank you to all the members that were helping at the table. Speakers for spring recruitment will occur next week, and there'll be no longer than 2 minutes. We may potentially allow people that didn't attend this meeting to give their speech, but probably require them to like watch a recording or something. We're still figuring it out. I also attended the Treasury Committee meeting last week, which involved funding requests from the Pakistani Student Association and the Vietnamese Student Association. And then I will also be attending the UIC Public Safety Board meeting, which is tomorrow with university leadership. And so I'll update you guys next week on that. And I'll also be attending the Future for UIC Campus Dining meeting with Felix and other student leaders and auxiliary services leadership coming soon. And I yield my report for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
So, quote for today: if you can't figure out what kind of work you like, pay attention to what's easy to concentrate on with energy versus what makes you tune out and feel tired. I believe, especially as students, as we're trying to figure out what it is we're passionate about, and as we explore different internships and stuff. But it hit me, especially this week, as I am about to graduate soon in less than 3 months. So yeah, but on to the report. I'm going to be working to finalize the Mental Health Coalition survey this week for distribution. We're going to be coordinating the distribution of the survey with the help of other organizations like LAST and USN. I'm also going to see if the Counseling Center, the Wellness Center, or maybe even the Disability Resource Center will be willing to help us in distributing that survey as well. I submitted my applicants for hosting a focus group about the mental health website. I am doing my leadership UIC team. It's called a Mental Health Network. You guys can sign up for that if you guys are interested in taking part in my focus group. If you have a hard time trying to find the link on the Wellness Center website, I can provide it to you. We're going to be doing a in-person one this Friday between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. and then a Zoom one February 21st between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And also thank you everybody in the coalition for a lot of these great ideas. I'll be making sure to follow up with everybody to ensure that those program ideas happen as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. We're going to be continuing planning out questions, layouts for the Secretary of State Forum. I had a meeting with Danya, Anthony, and John yesterday talking about that. So thank you guys. We're obviously continuing discussion about PCC reform. I'm working with my leadership team to finalize the website idea that we're doing. And if anybody here has any sort of UIC mental health resources or off-campus resources that you'd like to share with me, much appreciated. I'm going to posting a Excel document in the group meeting, or I'll email it to you guys too, so you guys can list whatever resources of wellness, counseling, or whatever on campus or off campus in the Chicago area. And that can even include things like religious resources, for instance, as long as it's related to mental health and wellness and care. So I'll be posting that for everybody. And also, yes, we had a meeting with Kevin Booker, John and I, talking about the letter, and also having a better understanding of what exactly happened at West Campus. So we're going to be continuing that conversation as we add amendments to the letter. But just one thing I learned from my conversation with Kevin Booker is that the director of campus housing may be planning a town hall event to discuss on-campus safety for residents. It hasn't been confirmed. It's more so a rumor, so I'll be making sure to have a meeting with Susan, the director of campus housing, to see if that's going to happen or not. But even if the director doesn't do that, I think that's something that we as USG could definitely do ourselves, especially when something like this happened not too long ago. And besides that, that's the end of my report, and I use my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, we move on to the report of the treasurer.
All right, hello everyone. My there are guidelines by Robert A. Schiller. So this week, during the committee meeting, we met with two certain organizations. We will continue conversations with them until we can hopefully result in more collaborations with USG. I also met individually with the USG Press Club on the possible collaboration and follow up with them if needed. I'm also in contact with the USG Technology Solutions to ensure full functionality of all equipment in our office. And also I'm looking into purchasing office snacks by utilizing the funds that were left over from last semester's resolution. Please reach out if you have any suggestions on what you would like to have. Also, as stated before, I introduced a resolution to purchase office supplies for the semester. That hopefully will be voted in next week. And finally, I'm collaborating with Vice President Arthur on purchasing the pre-professional book. We're waiting on DOS to start the regular operations and inventory availability before initiating the process. With that being said, I yield for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the treasurer will be filed. Next, we will move on to the report of the speaker. Okay, so hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Over the weekend, I was working on the reading days resolution with revising and drafting a new version and updating our demands and compromises that we're willing to make. We will be meeting with Dean Deanna this week to discuss the implementation of this resolution and any options we may have. So I'm working on that right now. During our MHC meeting, we discussed the mental health survey and revised some of the questions. I met with Sam during the week to discuss speaker duties and to kind of show him the ropes of what we do each week. And we made plans for the USG Social and the Leadership Summit, which will happen after we get our new members. I'm working on updating the roster and meeting dates and locations and sending them over for the USG website. So hopefully that will be up soon. And after we get our new reps sworn in, we will have representative individual meetings. I'll create a sign-up sheet soon that everyone should fill as soon as possible, and they'll begin next week. And lastly, if there are any prospective USG applicants here, please come see me after the meeting, just so I can mark you down. And applications and speeches will happen next week. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the speaker will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Chief of Staff.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
All right. So I hope everybody's having a good Monday and a good happy Valentine's Day. So this past week, I worked on recruitment and outreach for new members with the executive board and executive team. We talked about outreach to potential applicants, finishing up sending out those emails, and then me and Anshu and then other members earlier helped Danya out with the tabling. I was there in the latter half. We got to talk to a lot of interested students. We got a lot of emails down, so let's hope that ends up resulting in applications as well, so that we can fill that last roughly 10 open vacant seats. And then this week we also met with Chief Booker alongside Anshu and Arthur, and we discussed the incident that happened on West Campus, and we also discussed campus safety more generally. So we went through, as Anshu mentioned, the list of demands and the letter that was presented to the body last week, and we got his input on it. And we discussed certain things that might need to be adjusted for accuracy. And we also discussed where UIC police and the influence of UIC policing. Campus. What's up?
Sorry, guys. John, could you repeat like that last part?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry, it was just cutting off a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. So anyway, as I was saying, when we met with Chief Booker, we discussed the security situation, and specifically in housing and on West Campus in particular, but really in any of the housing, UIC police doesn't play a prominent role in security. All the security there is actually housed under campus housing, while on campus, anywhere else, the security, while it's contracted by a security firm, they still report to UIC police, but that's not the situation in housing. So it is a little bit of a different issue to tackle with a lot of moving parts, and we need to also work with the head of housing, Susan, on that. But we did talk about response time. We did talk about the relationship between housing staff and UIC police and trying to put together events to improve that relationship and to improve knowledge among housing staff of what UIC police can provide to them if they're in a situation where they do not feel safe. And we're going to be working all of this into our broader safety plan. Which also connects to the fact that we talked about being more proactive instead of reactive with safety on our campus. See what we can do in terms of the environment and improving that, like for example, West Campus, but over on Maxwell Street area, oftentimes crimes are committed the ease of access from the highway, because if they have an easy getaway, then it might be more likely for a crime to happen. And so we discussed coordinating with local leaders to maybe try and adjust traffic patterns, just as an example of the kind of approach that we're trying to see if we can take. And so on that note, I also met with Chairman Felix to discuss all of this and to discuss his updates on the housing end from his meetings with Susan. And we are going to continue working on altering the letter of support so that we can have that passed next week. I also met with the executive team on introducing legislation soon to tie all this together for the safety task force. I have begun work with Secretary Danya on the gala, and have also reached out to previous USG members for some of their input on planning of the gala, because we have not had one since 2019. And so there's been a little bit of a gap in terms of who is still in USG from that time. And I've also worked with Vice President Arthur, Danya, and Representative Anthony on the Secretary of State form questions and the general layout. And so we had a meeting yesterday where we kind of discussed all of that. And then we have continued work on election reform and coordinating with the advisors regarding updates as to what changes will be made after the conclusion of our meetings for election reform. With that said, I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, there was just a bit of an internet issue, but everything should be good now. If anyone has any questions based on any glitches that we heard, you can probably email John about it if it continues happening, but for now, do you have any questions? If not, the report of the Chief of Staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Chair.
Okay, hello everyone. Okay, to begin, so reminders. This is reminders and it's also an update. So unfortunately, I wrote this on Sunday, but today I had a call from CDS saying that they cannot, something came up and they're not able to do our USG Photoshoot on February 28th. And the next Monday is March, okay, I don't know, March 7th. The point is they cannot do it next Monday too, but they can do it on March 14th, which I know it's gonna be a while since then, but it's the only option we have. So our USG Photoshoot, which is exactly, the time stays the same, just please mark in your calendars, it is March 14th, and I promise I won't change it anymore. I also asked them to please don't change it anymore. So it's just gonna be March 14th. From 4 to 5:30 p.m. on the ARC, we're gonna have the photo shoot, which includes individual headshots and then also community group pictures. And then from 6 to 6:30 p.m., they will be photographing the beginning of our USG meeting. For prospective members, if you are accepted, you will also be able to have to be part of this photo shoot. And then on March 3rd, the Hedges event that is open to all UIC students from 1 to 3 p.m. will happen in 613. I'm gonna start working. I'm gonna ask Darian to help me with a poster ideally soon so we can start promoting that. And then I am also in conversations with Director Felix Celestino to plan for our upcoming event, Connecting Student Leaders. And then this week I met with Maggie Kutchman, which is the new Sustainability Program Director. Last week. We talked about the e-scooter dock project, which is still delayed because there have been payment issues. It's still confusing. They're still not sure if the payment issue comes from USG or from their office. So I gave them our treasurer's contact information just in case. And they're also designing the stickers. So for reference, we wanted stickers that say USG in order to promote that we were able to fund this project. So the stickers, they're designing them, so we should be they're gonna probably send us a design soon for us to approve. We also discussed how to implement a long-standing fund dedicated to helping students afford the DV Bike annual membership, which with a student discount is around $70 to $80, which I still consider it's a big investment as an individual. And then we also discussed the best way to distribute bike safety gear to students. I met with my committee, which as a reminder, we meet 5 to 6 p.m. Please complete the surveys if you have not yet already. We also have the QR codes ready. So we're gonna be posting this around campus in order to promote our surveys. And then our upcoming event is Let's Talk, a BIPOC mental health roundtable led by Representative Tayo Omoniyi. And then this event is on February 24th, 6 to 8 p.m. It is gonna be a hybrid event. The in-person room is gonna be in Student Center East, Illinois room AB. And then the hybrid version will be on Zoom. We have an RSVP link. So if you are interested in attending, please complete the RSVP. We hope to post this on our Instagram soon. And then we had engaging community led by Representative Saba Ali. That was on February 10th from 12 to 4. And thank you for all of those who were able to attend, to help out. I think it went great. And then other members are pursuing their own initiatives and more details to come on their progress. That concludes my report. I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Legislative Affairs Chair.
Hi, everyone. So this week I attended a core meeting on Tuesday, and then during our weekly legislative affairs committee, we learned that Tenzin is continuing to work on a survey for student mental health, and she's going to distribute that when it's ready, and we'll help her distribute that as well. We're reaching out to USC admin on minimum wage at USC in order to gain more information for perhaps a potential initiative based on what they say. On Wednesday, I went to a SCEP meeting. In that meeting, I guess some of the highlights were general education requirements and reformation are still being mentioned heavily. Particularly Provost Reyes is feeling very strongly that reform is needed, and he's referencing the resolution on ethnic studies from last year. Not that specifically he's saying that needs to happen, but he is just mentioning it in terms of, you know, student input and needing to keep in mind new things that have come along since the gen ed educations were formed first. I think it was like almost 30 years ago since they've been touched. And then I spoke to the CAAC head, who's the athletic director, Michael Lippitz, on the current situation with USC student athletes. Based on that, I'll be reaching out to student governments within the Horizon League to see if they'll, you know, pressure their schools administration to sort of reverse the decision. I can talk about what the issue is, but I'm sure a lot of you know already. And then Dana Wright from SCEP agreed to review one of the resolutions on maintaining student democracy. And then Vice President Arthur just sent me a bill to look at on mental health coalition material. I looked at that and we'll talk more on that later in the week. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the Legislative Affairs Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Public Affairs Chair.
Hello, everyone. So just an update on the merch. It's all been ordered, so we should be expecting that shipment soon. I'm working on drafting a letter regarding the results of our student organization resource survey. So my committee during our meeting will be helping me edit that and making sure that it all makes sense and shows what the survey was representing. I helped table at SE to advertise our application. And I posted an updated COVID-19 testing policy since there was some confusion about what exactly surveillance testing is. So feel free to pass that around since people are starting to get emails telling them to surveillance test. So be sure if your friends hear about that and are unsure what that means, that they should go get tested. It's just to increase campus safety for students that are not in mandatory testing groups. So say you're not required to mandatory test every week, like every 3 days-ish, then you are in this group that gets selected on a rotating basis to surveillance test to increase safety on campus. And my committee, we talked about doing e-board takeovers on the Instagram. So I'll be discussing that with e-board. So that should be really fun. So be on the lookout for that. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the Public Affairs Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Student Success Committee Chair.
Matthew had other things to take care of, so I'll be giving his report in his place. So for his beloved quotes that we all know, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. And this quote is by Buddha. So for resolution follow-ups, he plans to meet with the library in order to continue discussing OER. And then in regards to this, he seeks to gather data collected from the student evaluation forms. Next up is hybrid learning. There are plans to hold an interview with UIC Bonfire. Moving on to higher education affordability, there will continue to be meetings with the department heads to discuss this. And then this is not in the report, but he wanted to add this in. He's in talks with other universities, Illinois student governments to hold the first coalition meetings, and he'll be working on this with the exec team. Back to the report. For career development, our committee began discussing the headshot booth and designating different duties to each member. So Carolina will reach out to the company, we will reach out to GSC, Mahanur will reach out to the Engineering Career Center, and Matthew will reach out to Career Services. And so our committee meetings were previously held on Wednesdays 5 to 6. This is something we're still discussing because two of our members are commuting during those meeting times and they're on the train, so their safety is our #1 priority. So we'll be figuring out a new time for that. And everyone is always welcome to stop by if they'd like to. And then for our representatives' personal initiatives, me is still improving on Wi-Fi technologies at UIC. He is improving tutoring services. Alex, sleeping room collab with DIC. Mahador merit-based scholarships. Sarah, provost list for part-time students. And then I am still figuring out what I'd like to do next for my initiative. That concludes the report. I have my time for questions. If anyone has any, please let me know and I can relay that back to Matthew.
Yeah, thank you. If anyone has questions, please let Yasmin know, as she said. Next, we will, and the report of the student success chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the campus life chair.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Self-Love Day for those of you who aren't stood up. So it's been a busy week. Met with campus housing admin, with the West staff, RAs, and desk workers. That meeting was just a really big update on what's going to happen on the West staff and kind of the outcome of the letter and of the position. So as Andrew previously mentioned, there has been an installation of a panic button and of a buzzer finally. So in all honesty, they said that if you didn't send it to the dean of students, none of that would have happened. So these are really great steps to keep on taking, keep on putting pressure on USC admin to ensure the safety of all of our students. So that's a really big win. And then we're going to start taking a look at the letter, kind of amending it a bit because there is some conflicting reports on the events of Sunday night based on the RA's account and the UIC PD's reports. So gonna take a look into that, make sure everything is crystal clear. Attended the Asian American Student Leader Roundtable. So I had a really great conversation with some other student leaders in that event. So it was really great to see all of that. Met with President Anshu and Chief Staff John to give them an update basically on everything that is happening on the West staff. From an RA point of view, from a USG point of view, and from a campus housing overall general point of view. And then during last week's committee meeting, we discussed a lot about, we discussed a lot of different things, one of them being finally distributing the items purchased from the warm clothing initiative. So that's been from the Treasury Committee, they passed that on to us, the campus life committee, to distribute that amongst our students. So we're planning on doing a table at CE either next week Monday or the week after that around lunchtime. So we're going to kind of figure out if we can table that, and then if we don't have enough people, then we'll reach out to the general body and then ask for volunteers for that. It'll be a really great way to distribute some hygiene products, some warm clothes for our students for free, and then get our name out there, get what our mission is, and then kind of have the student body know who we are. Some other things that were discussed were the representatives initiatives. I don't have it listed on here, but Isaiah came up with a really great plan of having a forum for student workers to come together, advocating for themselves, speaking directly to admin, figuring out what the issues are and what can be done to fix that. So Isaiah is going to come up with a list of people who he'd like to invite to that, and a list of administrations. And then Rocky wants to also help with this initiative when it comes to the student athletes. So Michael, if you'd like to collaborate with her. And then I'm blanking on the other one, so sorry. Sam is working with USG Radio and kind of figuring out if USG can help when it comes to possible funding, if necessary, for an event for DJ competition. So there's kind of some pushback when it comes to certain administrations, but overall it's consensus that we need an event on campus to bring back some energy, especially in this semester. So a lot of great things coming from the campus life committee. So looking forward to all that. I'm very grateful for all the representatives and all their hard work. And then so now that some of our members changed within the campus life committee, we're going to be changing the campus select committee meeting time. So TBD on that. I conclude my report and I yield for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
For the USG radio aspect of your report, Felix, I did meet with the president of USG Radio, and I was wondering if there was any update on the specifics of why exactly their budget was cut, because we had talked about it, and he was looking forward to giving updates, but I haven't heard anything. Do you know?
I can pass it over to Representative Sam. If you would know more about that. So Sam, if you'd like to speak on that.
Yeah. I can unmute on here.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
1 second. Okay, so with that, there's an ongoing planning committee within radio to put together, and between radio and SAB, to put together the DJ battle, which is another annual event, kind of like the gala that has been postponed because of COVID. It's a week-to-week thing on communication between administration and our assistant programming director, Meghna, for this specific event. Right now, I mean, there's no ask for funding at the current moment. And that's something that just might come up, hopefully doesn't need to, but if it does, I think it would be in the interest of USG to put forward a little bit of funding if necessary to make sure that one of these events that's, you know, meant to liven up campus after it's been pretty dead so long. If it needs a little bit more push to move forward, that's something that I would bring up to the body and see if that's something we're willing to do. But at the current moment, there's not an ask for funding for that particular aspect. I'm not sure about what, I'm guessing you spoke with Diego. I'm not sure how that conversation went, but DJ Battle is sort of separate from that. And again, it is still ongoing. Hopefully there's not going to be an issue, but if there is, we have to figure all of this out as it goes. So that's that.
Until like their budget that they have. I spoke with Diego and myself, and they're structured a little bit differently than us. So like they don't have knowledge of what the budget is or like how it's gonna be spent or anything like that. They just send requests to their advisor and then they handle it. So I believe what happened was since everything under CSI kind of grouped together under one budget, I believe one department overspent and that came out of radio's budget. That's what I am aware of, but I believe we can update us on future findings.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? On Zoom. If not, the report of the campus life chair will be filed. The next order of business is announcements. And I believe we are getting the report of the student trustee at this time.
Yes, I'll be reading the report for the student trustee. The quote on the report is, "If someone wins, it doesn't mean that others have to lose." And these were the words of First Lady Dr. Jill Biden when she attended the meeting in Washington, D.C. Hope you're all doing well. I want to tell you all that Student Trustee Levine attended the National Legislative Summit in Washington, D.C., where he got a chance to meet with the student trustees and student body leaders from different parts of the United States. He was able to meet the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, where he shared with him that we need more fundraising for UIC, which we can use in the forms of grants to help struggling students, the students who are on the edge to get evicted due to their financial needs, to support dreamers, and asked for his support to enact the DREAM Act. Enacting the DREAM Act once and for all to give dreamers permanent legal status. The DREAM Act provides a path to citizenship for undocumented young students, including the thousands of students currently enrolled in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which is DACA program. Dreamers were brought to the U.S. as minors and frequently no other nation besides America. More importantly, they can make substantial contributions to the U.S. economy and society. Student Trustee Levine also requested that Dreamers should also be able to access Title IX student aid funding as is provided in the House Build Back Better Act, which is not yet passed. Laveline asked for funds for a university-led program that links training to jobs. The pandemic's massive economic dislocation has exacerbated the need for a dedicated university job training program that integrates institutional programs with business and local workforce needs, while today's economy still has millions of jobs available for qualified applicants. Undergrad and grad schools lack the funding to adequately address the situation, fund key education and workforce programs. Laveline and other student trustees attending the ACCT asked to boost the Pell Grant maximum award substantially and provide annual inflationary increases to the maximum award, leading to an eventual doubling of the grant. Pell Grants enable millions of low-income students to pay tuition and fees and meet other college expenses. Increasing the maximum award promotes affordability for low-income students, reducing their need to borrow. Student trustee Laveline reflected his support on the Build Back Better Act's $550 increase to the maximum and the proposed $400 maximum grant increase included in FY 2022 appropriations legislation. Funding increases should also be provided for the supplemental educational opportunity grants, federal work study, TRIO, Gear Up, and Child Care Access Means parents in school programs. Strengthen under-resourced institutions, increase funding for institutional aid programs, including minority serving institutions, Title IIIA strengthening institutions, strengthening historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges, and other programs serving traditionally underrepresented populations. Lower the threshold for Pell Grant eligibility to 150 clock hours and therefore enable more individuals to access training programs for jobs in high demand fields. Invest in basic needs support for students. Student trustees showed the support for the tax-free Pell Grant, which was included in the House-passed Build Back Better Act, as well as the Senate reconciliation proposal. Currently, Pell Grant award can be taxed for any amount that exceed a student's tuition and related expenses. This means that community college students must pay tax or any portion of their Pell Grants that is used to help meet living expenses. The tax-free Pell Grant would rectify this by making Pell Grants non-taxable, whether it is used for tuition of other costs of attendance. The bill would also alter the American Opportunity Tax Credit so the Pell Grant amounts would not be subtracted from a student's eligible expenses. This would dramatically enhance the ability of low-income students to qualify for the credit. Additionally, Laveline supported the Lifetime Learning Tax Credit to be altered to provide 100% of the first $2,000 of tuition fees paid by those taking job-focused training courses at community colleges. The LLC has not lived up to its promise of helping American reskill. This alteration would be a dramatic step forward in federal workforce policy. And that concludes the student trustees report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, the report of the student trustee will be filed. The next announcement is we have the winners for the representative point system last semester. So the winners are Anthony Cruz and Mimi Nguyen. Congratulations. Round of applause. Come see me after this meeting to get your prizes. Okay. And lastly, any prospective applicants that are here today, please come see me. If not, are there any other announcements? Yeah, aren't you?
Just a daily reminder that it'll take like 15 minutes for the food to get here, so stick around after the meeting.
Yep. Okay. Any other announcements? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Is there a second? All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the meeting has adjourned at 7 p.m.